Hey, we're off. This is the Run White and Blue 7.4 kilometer or 4.6 mile race. Started the camera a little bit late because Bear started the race a little bit early. So I'm running this race with my friend John, and right now we're just trying to navigate the heavy crowd throughout these first two quick left turns. There's a short downhill here at the start, but once we turn left, we're going to get into a long uphill that's going to continue onto the next street. And if you didn't hear what John just said there, he was saying those leaders must have set off at about a 5:30 pace, and we were holding kind of a target 6 minute, a little bit slower than 6 minute pace actually. You can tell the course is divided, and on the right side of the barriers there, those are the 7.4 mile racers, and John and I are racing the shorter course today, the 7.4K. In a few seconds, you're going to hear me say, "I'm on," and I'm going to hit my lap button. And that's because John and I decided beforehand that we were going to trade the lead in intervals and take turns drafting off each other to see if we could pull each other along and get a faster pace than either of us would do alone.
A little bit slower than I expected.
Yeah.
Want to go catch Raleigh? No.
John was just referring to Chris Raleigh, who was in the lead.
Here we go.
He is a sub 2:30 marathoner and a 50-mile American record holder, so we wouldn't be catching him today. So I've hit the lap button, and since I was slightly ahead of John at the time, I decided to take the first interval. We set up these intervals so that they were 3-minute intervals, and every 3 minutes my watch would count down and it would beep, and then whoever was drafting would overtake the person in front, and then they would do the work for the next 3 minutes. Right now, I'm taking the lead, and John is right on my shoulder. He's actually right behind me, and he's just kind of settling in, and I'm trying to move us up through the field to get past some of these people who started off too quickly. This first mile has some short downhills mixed in, but it's mostly an uphill slog, especially once we take this right up here on Van Story. It's not very steep, but it's just kind of a grind. And here, if you look at our shadows on the right of the screen, you can see John and I very close together. And that's the position we were running in for most of the race, with one or the other of us in front. Since this video has no intro or gear flat lay, I'm just going to show con on the right side of the screen because you all need to have your con fix. And there are the shoes that I have, the ASICS Metaspeed Sky Tokyo and the red, white, and blue aviator style Gooders that I wore because it's the Run White and Blue race. And the runner on the left that we were overtaking, that is Brad, and he would go on to pace a really well done race as well. We just had a conservative start, so we were able to gather it up and very gradually overtake him. At this point, I'm aware of my breathing pattern being a little bit too rapid for this early in the race, so I'm trying to just calm down and settle and maintain the same effort without really going into a zone higher. And since the microphone is on my head with the camera and not lower, you're not going to hear my watch beeping, but it did just beep. And that's why John overtook me and decided to take point, and I'm settling in behind him. And it's really difficult sometimes during those transitions to stay right behind the person who you should be drafting on, because all of a sudden the running is a little bit easier and you almost think, am I slowing down? And you're not, you're just getting a little bit of a break from the work. And again, with the absence of a gear flat lay, I'll let you know that John and I are wearing the same rabbit singlet with the horseshoe on the back. And that's the same one we had made up for our Houston group who went to the Houston Marathon. And John was just checking in with me there if you didn't hear it. And he was just making sure the pace was sustainable and not too high.
We got a nice stretch to take advantage of here. Not all at once.
And I'm saying that because this is one of those opportune downhills in the first part of the race, and it's kind of a subtle way of saying we can pick it up a little bit here, buddy. But we don't want to put in too much of a surge.
Humidity's good. Not too bad. Could be worse. Yeah.
So as John was just remarking, it's July. It's July 4th, which is usually hot and humid in North Carolina, but we got a little bit of the break in the humidity. It's still humid, but the dew point is closer to about 60 degrees Fahrenheit rather than the 70 it normally is for this race, and the air temperature is in the mid-70s. He also just called out that the first mile was a 6:01, and he has his watch set for auto laps at every mile, and I'm just focusing on the intervals where we're switching the lead on my watch. And we'll do a little bit of a fast forward here because there's nothing terribly interesting happening during this stretch. It's that we're just in the zone and maintaining that effort and, holding it down. So as my watch beeps, it's my turn to get out in front again and start doing the lion's share of the work.
Those interval times good for you? Should be about ready to switch when it's time to switch, right? I think we executed our start perfect though.
And if you didn't hear John, he was just saying that our slower than planned start really set us up to manage our energy well.
More shade than I thought. Feels good. We'll be running up sun when we get on this loop.
Yeah, the only good thing about Van Story Road is it does have more shade than most of the course. And when we get on the Reese Loop, which I'll talk about in a little bit, we will be in the sun when we're on the east part of it. So as we come up to Reese Boulevard here in a minute, that is the peanut-shaped loop if you look at the map on the right of the screen, and it's the inner loop, and we do 1.5 loops of Reese Boulevard. And on the first loop, we are supposed to be in the center lane, or the turning lane, and the second loop we're supposed to be on the inside lane, but there's some confusion here, which you'll be able to catch as we run by these volunteers.
They shouldn't be in the inner lane. They should be in the middle lane. They should be in the middle lane, guys. They're not.
So this other runner that we're creeping up on, he understands too which lane we should be in. We should be in the middle lane. But all of the 12 or so people ahead of us have just cut automatically to the inner lane, which, it's more confusing once we get to the start-finish and finish the first lap again. But in a minute here, we're just going to say screw it and get on the inner lane with everyone else because we might as well not give up those tangents.
Stick with the crowd. Get out there.
Not a shoe off moment. Not a shoe off.
So that was obviously one of my channel viewers saying, this is not a shoe-off moment. So that gave John and me a little bit of a chuckle. And as you can tell, the watch has beeped, so John smoothly transitions in front. And this is a nice, smooth downhill section.
We're gonna split fast on this mile. It's all right. It's okay. Plenty of race left.
So I could tell John was surging a little bit, and he said, I've got my sights on a guy up there. And the guy up there is Froylan, who is John's main competition in his age group.
Should be coming up on 2 in about 30 seconds.
Once again, if you see any fast forward, it's just because there's not a whole lot going on during that stretch of the race.
Yeah, we're not going to maintain that.
So John called out that the second mile was a 5:48, which I think was a bit faster than either of us were expecting. And I was just letting him know that that's probably not a sustainable pace, at least for this part of the race. Still though, if you look at the pace in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, it didn't feel like it was 5:42 per mile at this point. It felt like we were cruising, so that's a good sign. As we fast forward through the action here, I'll say that running as a team with someone that you train with is so much different than keying off of other random runners in the middle of a race. I could use another runner and pace off of them, let them pace off of me in the middle of a race, but there's still the unknown as to the other person's intentions. Whereas John and I know each other's intentions and abilities, so it takes a lot of the stress out of the working off of each other.
I'm probably going to temper it a little bit when we get to this climb.
Perfect.
And I mentioned that the eastern side of the Reese Loop has a downhill trend. That means the western side, you guessed it, has an uphill trend. And you'll see that as we are passing through the start-finish area for our first lap, which means these 540s are not going to last. And if we stick to the 550s or low 6s, that would be about the same effort, still keeping the pressure on. Also up here, you can see that the volunteers have their act together, and they're making sure the runners on their first loop are getting into the center lane rather than the inner lane. It's not so much of a big issue with the front of the pack in the 7.4K race, but you'll see it will make a difference when the races start converging together.
I'm gonna drift over.
What?
I'm gonna drift over center.
Okay.
Center lane, please. Hey, John!
Morning.
Good job!
Evidently, John is a popular guy.
Easy, buddy, tuck. You got a minute and a half left.
Okay.
He'll come back to us.
I could tell John was getting antsy and half-stepping me, but we were still only halfway through this interval, and we were slowly closing on the people ahead of us. So I was just kind of reminding him to calm down. So starting right here and well into the tree line up ahead, going through the start-finish area, is a gradual grinding uphill.
Shorten it up.
So I just heard a supporter yell some encouragement to Owen, who is a 20-something runner who runs with us occasionally. He's a lot faster than us. I was honestly surprised he was behind us, but he, I guess, is sneaking up on us. So this right side of the chute is for those coming in on their first lap. After we pass under the arch on the right side, then we have one full lap of the Reese Loop, which is 1.7 miles left. And it's John's turn to take the lead again.
Hey guys, doing? Good, how are you?
You done with your warm-up, Owen?
Not yet, he says.
So Owen is a 2:44 marathoner on a hilly course, and he's a 1:16 half marathoner who can run in the high 16s for a 5K. So staying behind us for the first 2/3 of the race was really more of a conversational pace for him. And for the remainder of this last full loop, we will be on the inside lane where we should be. And as we come around to the southern apex of Reese Boulevard, this is just a steady uphill grind. But it's our last real uphill grind until the quarter-mile climb to the finish that we just did.
Do it.
And John was just letting me know that he's going to throttle back a little bit, so he's definitely feeling this climb. And since he's leading, he's doing a little more work than me. That's fine by me.
02.
And that was a 6:02 mile, he said.
It's 11:54. No. 17:54.
So once I finally remembered how to do math at race pace, I worked out that we went through 3 miles in 17 minutes 54 seconds, which is about on pace for an 18:35K or a 37 flat 10K. And that's pretty good, because this is not an easy course. So I'll take this moment to do a quick shoe talk. Even though this course is hilly, there aren't any really steep hills, so you're really able to maintain a consistent effort even if the pace isn't always the same. And I thought the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo was a great shoe for this because, well, to be honest, I wasn't really thinking about the shoe. It was disappearing on my feet at this point. And at a sub 6 minute overall average pace, that's a good sign. I think this might be a contender for my half marathon shoe, and I would consider it for a marathon.
Recover. Just lengthen it out, recover.
So we had just gotten over the uphill portion, but we were still carrying a little bit of that effort with us. And since we had a downhill here, I was encouraging John to recover and lengthen his stride so that we could save up for a final push. There's still about a mile left, maybe a little more. And now that it's my turn to take the lead here, I might be able to keep the pressure on, and John can recover a little bit more from that climb.
Last set.
And by last set, I mean that I'm going to lead for one more 3 minute block, and then John's going to lead for one more 3 minute block, and then whatever's left after that, we're each going to fend for ourselves. And as we come up on the southern entrance onto Reese, you'll see some of these 7.4K runners who are just entering Reese on their first loop as we're coming around on our second, and some of the quicker 7.4 milers. You'll also see our pace creeping into the 5:30s, the sub 5:40s.
Sorry, brother.
You all right?
This runner on the right is one of the leaders in the 7.4 mile race, and he's on his first loop.
Lap 1, long course.
And I'm just telling John he's doing the long course, so there's no reason to chase him.
Sorry. Fuck me, I'm sorry, dude. I'll back up a step.
We're getting there. We're getting them.
Yeah.
So that F-bomb laden apology was from John. He was clipping my heels a little bit, half-stepping me, and he was going to give me a little bit more room. I just had to remind him we're getting there, which we both interpreted as we're catching up on Froyland. Don't worry, we'll get you your age group win. I just knew that we have over 3/4 of a mile left to run at this point. There's plenty of room.
You got another minute. Save it up.
Yep.
That means another minute to take advantage of the drafting before he is getting out in front and doing the work and putting a surge on. And even though he's behind me, I can feel how anxious John is to catch up to Froylan and overtake him and get in that age group lead.
Yeah. Need it.
And this is Froylan right here, and the big question is whether he's going to try and stick with us once we make the move. Go, John, go! He's putting on a surge because he wants to pass with authority right here. To be clear, I am not in the same age group as John and Froylan, and to the best of my knowledge, there is no one ahead of me in the field right now who is in my age group. Other than John, I am the oldest person left here in the top 10. The very vocal runner you're here that we're closing in on is Mike, and he lives in my neighborhood, and he is a brawler. You're always going to know exactly how much effort he's putting in.
On the train.
It's a pain train, baby.
And Mike is just letting us know that he's going to hop in with us and see if we can carry him to the end. And that might be just the boost he needs to finish strong. And we're getting to the end game here, but there's still one or two more runners within reach. And John is not satisfied, and I'm not really satisfied either. We're going to keep on trying to fight for every place.
Arm sleeve.
Do it.
Let's go.
And John is saying we're going to track down the shirtless runner in the arm sleeves, which is Jeff. And I said, do it. And he said, no, we. And Mike is behind us saying, let's go. Let's go. And he's not really egging us on as he is egging himself on because he is a brawler.
Fuck yeah.
And there goes Mike in the pain cave, letting it all out like an animal. Go, Mike. At this point, I can tell we're going to close in on Jeff, but we're too close to the finish line, and Jeff's 32-year-old legs have a little bit more of a fast twitch kick in them than my 44-year-old legs, so he's not going to be very happy with me passing him. He's going to do something about it. I have to laugh out loud because Jeff was dying just a few seconds ago. And I guess the one thing he needed to really boost himself up and crank something out at the end is me overtaking him. And that's clearly something he's letting me know he doesn't want. And I just passed Mike again. Did he actually die for real this time?
Yeah, brother.
No, of course he didn't, because he's a damn brawler. So that's him passing me in the last couple hundred meters, because it wouldn't be the 4th of July without fireworks. My goal going into this race was to maintain a 6-minute pace, which would put me around 27.5 minutes, maybe a little bit more. Let's see where I end up.
Runners, as you come through, please keep going forward. Please keep going forward. Do not stop.
Official time, 26 minutes, 50 seconds, 9th overall, and first in my age group. So I'm pretty happy with today's race. John and I working together ran a lot faster than I expected to run, at least if I were running by myself. So it's great to have training partners who run with you and are willing to race with you. Thanks, John, to that. Happy Independence Day to everyone in the United States who is celebrating. Happy belated Canada Day to our northern neighbors, and happy early Bastille Day to our French friends, and just, happy day to you, period. Especially to this guy. Happy day to Con. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, and we'll send you some more content this summer. Thanks, guys. See you on the next run.